today's video is going to be on my foundation routine. And this foundation routine is for dry and combination skin, rosacea, acne, puffy under eyes, dark circles. Did I mention acne? Yeah, it's for all those things. So if you're wondering how I turned my face from this to this, then go ahead and stay tuned. Okay, so you can see a lot of my skin. You can tell that I have very far from perfect skin. If you're curious on what I do for my skin routine, that was my last video and I'll go ahead and link you to that. And that will tell you all the moisturizers and all the things I use to prep my skin so that my foundation will go on as easily as possible. Okay, so the first thing that I do is put on a primer. Now my favorite, which I like barely scrape the last bits out of, is my Hourglass Veil Mineral Primer. This is the best primer. Like, honestly, it is so freaking expensive because it's like $50 for this bottle, but it is really worth it. It is so good. Now, if you do not have the money to buy Hourglass or you don't have Sephora or anything like that, a good drugstore comparable is a Hard Candy Sheer Envy Primer. I have used both, although I have better results with this one, especially when it comes to filling in pores. They both are gonna make your makeup last a lot longer. So I'm going to start out by applying this. And I usually just do like half a pump because mine's so empty. I'm just scooping some out of the bottle. And make sure you really get it around your eyes because you don't want that concealer going anywhere. Okay, after I've done that, I take my concealer. Now typically, I know a lot of people do concealers after. The only reason why I do concealer before on some areas is for anything really stubborn like these little fun acne pieces right there. So if you have anything active, which is something you've like squeezed or it's scabbed, you're gonna wanna cover that first and then cover it again after to get the best coverage because these red things are really stubborn and they like to show through your foundation. So the concealer I'm going to be using for this is Makeup Forever's Full Cover, and I love this. It's just in the exact same color as my foundation. It's not lighter, and this is in the shade number 5. And I'm just going to go ahead and put these right on the areas where I need that extra coverage. Now, if you do have a pimple, I wouldn't suggest squeezing it in the morning because it's going to be way harder to cover. If you've just got a bump, that's going to be a little easier to cover than like an open pimple. So if you like have to do something with it, then just wait till the end of the night and then it can kind of calm down by the morning and then you don't have this like open wound that's bleeding on your face when you're trying to get ready. And sometimes I do this for like old acne that just has left a red mark and for whatever reason the acne is not there anymore, but you still have a little mark left. Now my skin has been breaking out a lot and my rosacea has been coming up, and that's why I decided to do this video because honestly for the past 6 months I haven't been really struggling at all with my rosacea or acne, so it really wasn't showing anything to do a foundation routine. So now that it's kind of flaring up again, I thought it'd be a good time to do this. So now I just got that preliminary, all that goodness covered up. So next I'm going to be taking my foundation, and this is just a great drugstore foundation. It's similar to, I've heard it's similar to the Makeup Forever HD like foundation or the Matte Velvet Plus. I haven't tried those, so I don't know for sure, but that's just what I heard. But it's just from CoverGirl, and this is the Outlast Stay Fabulous. This is a 3-in-1. It's supposed to be like skincare, foundation, everything. I still do it all separately, but I think it gives you better coverage. Now this is the color Nude Beige. Now this color is a little tiny bit darker than my skin color, and the reason for that is it's easier to cover up redness when your foundation is darker. Like in the summer, it's so much easier for me to cover up my redness than in the winter. Like if you get an all-out pale foundation, it's gonna be so much harder to cover up your redness. It shines through. But like the tanness in the pigments and your redness kind of blend together, it makes it so much easier to cover up. So I usually just start out with 1 pump of the foundation And my favorite brush for this is gonna be like my multi-purpose brush. I'm gonna use it for like everything. Is Sedona Lace FB07. It's just a flat top. So I usually put my foundation on the back of my hand and then I just start applying it. And I usually try to kind of do it in circular motions and then kind of pat it in. I just like to circle so it doesn't get too thick, and I make sure I'm like spreading it around. I like to make sure I get up under my eyes, on the sides of my nose. Okay, already without concealer, you can see like amazingly huge difference, and look how much better this looks already. Yeah, way. And I do put my foundation over my lips, so that way I don't get the red ring. This isn't a foundation routine that I do all the time. It's a lot more time consuming and it's a lot of makeup, so this isn't going to be something you want to wear every day. But when you really have that time where you don't want to be touching up your makeup at all and you want to look fabulous, then this is what I do. And I just add a little bit more as I need it, you know, another half pump, and I just build up instead of like starting out with a ton. And I always try to make sure I blend around the corners of my nose and to where my eyes are. Then what I like to do to make sure I get all my little things covered is I like to take the Sedona Lace EB13 brush. And this is just like a blending brush, but I have found that I love this for those little areas that are hard to reach. So like around my nose, I'll just use this little brush that works really good. Under my eyes. And then right around my eye right there. Then anywhere that you have a lot of redness, you can go back and put another layer of the foundation. It's very buildable. Then it minimizes your need for the more expensive concealer, which I like. Then I just make sure that I'm blending it down, especially where it's a little darker. And then when I finish up my makeup, I'll go through with a bronzer and make sure everything blends. But I just take whatever's left in my hand and just try to work it down my neck a little bit. That way I do not have a foundation line. Okay, the next thing I do is concealing under my eyes. My favorite concealer for that is the PURGE Correction Cream, and this is in Brightening Peach. The stuff is amazing. I love it so much. So I just take a little concealer brush and do right under my eyes. I feel like this stuff helps brighten up that area, but it doesn't highlight it to where I'm gonna have like glowing bags under my eyes. Because sometimes if you make the under eye area too bright, then your bags are like waving little flags like, hello, here I am. And granted, I don't have the perfect way to conceal these, or else no one would ever even know I have them or see them. But this is the best thing that I've figured out so far. Okay, now I do put another concealer or a little more foundation on top of this because this tends to crease on its own. Another thing that's cool about this concealer is that it's waterproof. And so if you do have one of those days like your wedding, or someday you're gonna be crying, or you've got a cold, it's perfect to put under your eyes and around your nose, and that way if you're wiping or anything, you're not gonna be wiping off all your makeup. And I like literally just put a tiny bit just to blend in that more peach color. So next I would go ahead and conceal any other areas you feel like need to be concealed. I can go back on some of those little acne areas and give them a little more coverage. Sometimes I'll conceal right here by the sides of my nose just so it doesn't blend into my blush too much. If you had a lot of redness, you could put this concealer anywhere you had it, basically. Like if you could put it down your nose, more on your cheeks, anywhere you felt like you need extra coverage. It's just this foundation covers so good that I don't need to have like concealer everywhere, which I like. Next, I'm going to be using the Revlon Nearly Naked powder. I just have fallen in love with this powder. It works so good. And I actually just use the same brush I use for my foundation. It causes for a lot of brush washing, but I just like how it applies because I actually just press it into my skin like this. I like this more than a powder puff because I feel like I don't get too much. It just puts the perfect amount on. And I feel like this powder is seriously like not even visible on the skin. And my color is in 02 Light. Then for my under eyes, I've been using the e.l.f. High Definition Setting Powder. And this is just in the color Sheer, so it's not going to highlight that area too much. It does have tiny flecks of glitter in it, but I don't ever feel like it comes off on my face in a huge way. So I just put a little bit of the lid and then I just tap off. And then I just put it under my eyes. I would not use this if you're doing any kind of photography because it's in HD, it will flash back. I do not particularly care for, I used to use it a lot, but I started to notice that it was settling into my pores, the regular HD powder, so I stopped using that and just used the Nearly Naked, but I like this stuff. It works good and it sets that concealer, so throughout the day when my bags are having their heyday, I'm not getting creasing right in through there. Alrighty, so my last thing that I do to make sure that my foundation stays all day is I use a setting spray. And I have been using the e.l.f.'s Makeup Mist Setting Spray, and I find that it does a great job. So I haven't tried anything more expensive because I feel like this works. So I just do a couple sprays over my face. And the other thing I do is if you ever have like a dry, scaly patch of skin, I'll spray a little bit on my hand, barely tap my brush into it, and then I can just go over it with the brush, and it kind of moisturizes those little flakes, and that way they're not going to cling to the powder and make them more visible. It's just going to kind of make them lay down and play more nicely with others. Alright, so last but not least, this kind of goes into the whole world of highlighting and contouring, and I'm just going to barely touch on it. But in my last glam bag, I got the Cella highlighting pencil, and I broke the tip of it. But I do like to put a tiny bit on my finger and just tap it right here. And that helps draw attention away from the bags instead of highlighting them and drawing attention onto the cheekbones where we want it. And then of course, you know, you can highlight just that innermost corner right there where you don't have a bag to keep your eyes bright. And then I would continue with my bronzer and my blush. And once I get all of my face makeup on, then I would spray it again. So I hope this tutorial was helpful for you. And if you guys have any questions, as always, feel free to ask, leave me any comments below, and like this video if it was helpful, and make sure you subscribe to my channel. That way you can always be updated on the new videos that I'm uploading. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye!